before I have a little nap, guys, I just want to share a secret with you. So, before I got to 8 months sober, this trip to Liverpool was planned, and it was planned a long time ago, like last year. And even up until I'd say March of this year, I had always planned to not have a relapse, but I was I was gonna have a drink at that event. And I was really sort of, I had it in my head that that was like going to be my blow off steam night, and I was going to have a drink or whatever. And obviously, as time went on, I gained my sobriety time, and that's why yesterday was so hard, because I didn't want to do that anymore. And that's what I realized is how much I've changed, because when I got to like 8 months sober, I realized, hang on a minute, I'm going to Liverpool, and I've got no intentions of having a drink. Whereas if you'd have asked me that 8 months ago, I would have been like, yeah, fucking right, I'm having a drink. So it was a hard battle yesterday, because I knew that I didn't want to do that. But it was also the trip where I'd planned to do it, if that makes sense. So it was as if I was battling internally with myself. And when we first got there, the voices were strong. They were really strong. They were like, well, everyone else is having a drink. It won't hurt. Fuck me, you've done 8 months. Go on, blah blah blah. And as soon as the voices came, I was like, no, you know exactly where this is going to lead. You know exactly what's going to happen. One is not going to be one. You're going to feel absolutely devastated if you relapse, blah, blah, blah. Have a word with yourself and then snap back out of it. And I did. But because that plan was always to have a drink, the plan was always to have a drink when I got to Liverpool, when we booked it, it was in my head. So that made it a lot more difficult. But like I said, as time went on, I realized that as it was getting closer and closer to the date, that I didn't want to do that. And that just goes to show how much you can change. Your priorities and how you are in sobriety can completely change, because you might think that you want to give it up, or you might want to just cut down your drinking or whatever. And then a couple of months down the line, you realize actually you don't want to go back to it at all. And that's where I'm at, and I'm so glad, so glad that I didn't. And I stuck to my guns, and I drank water and I drank Coke and whatever else, because it would have been a completely different scenario. Driving home today, I would have been absolutely at my lowest ebb. I would have been devastated. I would have been riddled with guilt. I'd have had to tell my kids. I'd have had to restart my clock. I'd have had to come on here and tell you guys. Can you imagine the devastation mentally that would cause me? And I know, because I did it at 5 months. And that's what I've got to remember when those little voices creep in. But yeah, it just goes to show that even if you tell yourself that, you're going to relapse or whatever, you can outgrow that feeling and that craving, and you can grow and change your journey and change your mind. And like, I just feel really proud that I've managed to go away and completely change what my plan of action was, because my plan of action was always to have a drink when I got there. And lo and behold, that's not what happened. I completely stuck it out, and now I'm 246 days sober and clean. So I'm really pleased, absolutely so pleased with that, because I didn't tell you guys that obviously in my head, that's what I had planned when it was first booked, So there we go. Just thought I'd share that with you anyway. But I did it. So there we are.